Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Eugene, and I'm gonna do this video as my part two of me ordering my 2020 Tesla Model 3. Like I stated before, um, I was excited to get one. I'm looking at the low cost of owning. I'm kind of loving the tech that's involved, and this has been one of the hardest things I've had to order because I'm one that when I order something, I sit on it for a while. I actually have to force myself to order this, which I'm glad I did. But in this video, in my part two, I kind of want to talk about the ordering process, my thoughts on it. None of it's really knocks on Tesla at all or this process. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It seems very convenient, and I kind of like just taking care of it on my phone for the most part. Every now and then I've pulled out my Apple laptop and, looked at some things. But this one here is just going to be the ordering process. I'm going to release these from time to time up until I get it and have the delivery video. But like I said, this one here, I wanted to talk about my ordering process. I ordered my Tesla a few weeks ago, and it told me it was going to take about 7 to 10 weeks before the delivery. I was speaking to a dentist friend of mine who owns a white one. He's on his second Tesla. He had the S at first, and now he has the Model 3. And he was telling me about leasing it at 10,000 miles per year. Like I said, when I was in the process of doing this, I was thinking my wife would drive it for the most part because I am trading in her car for this. I currently drive a 2011 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, so that ain't going nowhere. And so with my wife's 2017 Mini Cooper convertible, we're still paying on it, but the warranty ended 3 years. We're about to end the warranty. It ends next month in February, and so I didn't want to be paying on a car that isn't in warranty, especially with BMW parts. And I'm sure there are people who have gone through this and just say, you know what, it's not worth it. Great car, like the car. It's a little tight for me. I'm a little bit on the bigger side, so it was always funny for me getting in and out of the car, especially in the back seat of the convertible. So I was kind of, excited for it to go. And the funny thing about it was my wife, when I first got it for her and I surprised her with it, I came home with it, she was she was happy about it, but she was like, oh, this wasn't the car I wanted. My wife is a Volvo fan, but now that she's had it, she loves this little Mini Cooper convertible. So now I'm trying to pry it out of her hands. So I've been hitting her with the maintenance costs and all that other stuff. So this is working out fine. But anyway, I digress. Going back to the ordering process. I did the whole ordering process online. Did the $100 through Apple Pay. Got the delivery date of 7 to 10 weeks. I was like, doggone, that's gonna be a while. I don't know if I can, wait that long, but I had no choice. I mean, that's just it. It was what it was. About 2 weeks later, no, I would say about a week and a half later, I get the text about everything was processed, and I got the text about, and people who've ordered Teslas probably know this, you get a text saying, hey, you need to schedule your delivery date. So I was super excited about that, because prior to that, when you go on your page, it just says, there's your next step, and, you need to add your insurance, and it was still showing 7 to 10 weeks out delivery. So you really didn't have much to look at. You just go on the page and it shows a picture what your car is going to look like, and, it tells you the things that you have to do. Entering your trade-in information, how much money you want to put down, all of that stuff. So that was actually pretty cool, trying to negotiate how much I was going to pay per month, which was fine. I wanted to get it as cheap as possible because I've talked to my dentist friend who has one, and I think he's paying like $4 and some change for his at 10,000 miles. So I was like, well, you know what? I definitely would like to try to do that. So doing that calculator, got it to where I wanted it to be. Went ahead, pulled the trigger, and like I said, a week or so later, got the text about, hey, scheduling my time frame. I chose the earliest date, earliest time that I can do it, which turns out in my case to be February 8th, which is a Saturday. I chose 12 noon. That's when they open up. So I have, today is I think it's the 27th, Monday. So I got till next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday is my delivery day. So I'm excited about that. The process, like I said, went by very easy. Did the scheduling of my delivery date, which is a lot sooner than what I thought it would be. I was expecting the car in March, sometime late March. So to be able to do that was great. But then after that process, there was a section underneath where it talks about, it has your documents that you can look at, like your ordering document. Then there was a section for your lease. There's a lease document. So I got to reading the lease document. And actually, because you got nothing else to do on the Tesla site other than they keep prompting you to order the advanced auto drive or autopilot or whatever, which I won't do. But once that lease document popped up, I took time to read it, and going through it, and like I said, and well, let me clarify right now, I'm not knocking Tesla at all, so it's not going to be a knock, and it's, you know, to each his own. But for me, I'm reading the document. I get to the section about the payments and everything, which it was fine. It was basically what I agreed to when I did my little slide calculator and showing what I wanted to pay, what I was going to put down. But the thing that troubled me was after my lease, after the 3 years, I was not able to purchase the car, you know, and keep it, which was kind of like, well, you know, at first I was like, well, you know, after 3 years, I may not want it anyway, because anybody know me, I tend to hop in and out of cars anyway. But, you know, I figured, you know, in this case, at my age, where we are in life, I was like, well, you know, I may want to keep one. I got 2 other vehicles that we're keeping. I may want to keep one. So the payment was fine, but everything was just turned out to be, when I'm reading it, it just looked like a very expensive rental agreement. At least if you go to rent a center, you can rent something and then you can at least buy it if you want to keep it or anything else. And I think, from what I've been told and researching, you can order the S and X, I believe. You can lease it, but you can keep it. But for whatever reason, the Model 3s, you're not allowed to keep. And I don't know why. I think it's something about the CEO wants to use the Model 3s as part of a driverless taxi system to go up against Uber and Lyft, which is fine. I mean, it's his prerogative. His car is his prerogative, and I'll probably hop in one if I ever need one, if I'm, you know, visiting somewhere. I hope one picks me up. But for me personally, I looked at that and I was like, oh man, I just don't know. So I started, like I always do when I'm purchasing something, I started having that buyer's remorse feeling. And so I called to the local Tesla dealership. Well, I don't even know if it's a dealership. And talked to one of the sales guys and, you know, talked with him about that. And what I did like was the fact that they gave me the option to be able to change it. Now, I couldn't change it on the website. It was like I was kind of locked into the lease per se, but he was able to log into my account and change my payment method to a loan. And, you know, with that, I had to fill out an application. And the one thing you have to pay attention to is, you know, you fill out the application process. And when you research it, most people say it takes about 24 hours before you get an answer back. And at this point, I have filled out, changed my lease over to a loan, did that paperwork. And it kept telling me my paperwork was pending. That went on for about almost a week. So I finally called back, and apparently what you have to do if you're going to change it over is once you do that, go through the process of changing over to a loan, entering your information, even though you hit submit, there's another prompt at the bottom where you have to resubmit again. I don't know if that's just unique to my case, but I ended up having to I held myself up on that process because I didn't know to resubmit it. So once I resubmitted, after I spoke to the Tesla sales guy, he called me back and said, yeah, the loan department said you have to resubmit. So I did that. I would probably say a few hours later, I'm not even going to say well, it might have been a day. I've been watching it, but it wasn't long. It wasn't longer than 24 hours. I'll put it like that. It felt more like 8 hours. But anyway, I log back into the website because I've been watching this pot boil. I'm telling you, I've been watching it boil. This has been a process, but it's a me thing. It's not Tesla. It's more of a me thing. Me watching this pot boil. So I log back in and I see I was approved. So which was cool. And it was at the rate. And it was funny because it was like what I selected in my whole application process, how much I was going to put down, how much I wanted to pay. That's exactly what transpired in my loan agreement. So now I have the loan process, and I feel a little more easy about that. Looked at a bunch of videos on owning it, because I figured, at 10,000 miles, for me, what I would want to do with it, because we do a lot of traveling, we do some driving, and for the most part, I put a ton of miles on my Jeep Wrangler because it was the family vehicle. We bought it brand new in 2011, and it's been almost everywhere with us, up in, to Michigan, down to Florida, Charleston a bunch of times, Virginia, the mountains here. Never been out west with it, or past, I wouldn't say past Tennessee, but a number of those Charleston trips, other locations, Florida, Georgia. It's been our vehicle that we used, and so I put a lot of miles on it. My tires are not expensive. I'm sorry, they're not cheap. My tires are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So wear and tear on that. So I figure, well, you know what? This Tesla has this autopilot. It can, knock down my driver fatigue. My wife doesn't trust it at all, but she ain't driving. So I hate getting to locations and then first thing I got to do is sleep. And meanwhile, my wife and my daughters, they're all knocked out sleep while I'm driving. So I don't plan on sleeping while we're riding, but at least I'll be able to relax. So I figured, occasionally taking some trips, I would like to take the Tesla and, make that trip a little more comfortable for me. So I'm thinking 10,000 miles, there's no way, even if I drove the vehicle to work some days and let my wife drive it, who has a very short commute. She drives less than 5 miles round trip, and I'm probably putting it's probably closer to 3 or 4 miles round trip. And it would work out for her, but like I said, I intend on using it some as well. So I think doing the ownership was probably my best option. That way I don't have to worry about the 10, 12, or 15,000 miles. I can at least own it and not worry about it. My hope is it'll be with us. I'm a big believer in technology, so I'm thinking in 3 years, am I going to be kicking myself for not leasing it because something else would have come out that I would want? And then I'm like, oh man, I should have leased so that way I can get rid of it and, turn it back in and get this new piece of technology. But right now, all the reviews that I've looked at, all the videos, I'm excited for this car. I can't wait till it gets here. I'm going to drive it myself. My round trip for my commute is about 40 miles. I do that in my Jeep Wrangler, and I spend about $75 a week in gas. So I'm looking forward to saving some money on that. I'm still going to drive my Jeep some because we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Spring is going to be approaching soon. That soft top is going to be off. So I will enjoy that. So I will drive it some, but as far as making it, I'm trying to retire it from my everyday driver so that way I can have it at least into my 70s. I don't want to, have to get rid of it because of engine problems. So I am excited I have a project that I'm working on for my Jeep. I would like to drop a V8 in there. I was going to do a supercharger, but I got some people that have been talking to me about it's a small V8 that can get in there. So I'm kind of looking at that and seeing pricing on that, because the 3.8 liter in the 2011 Jeeps. So that is my update so far on my Jeep. I'm sorry, my Tesla. I will be doing some videos on my Jeep as well. As far as the tech I've added to that, I'm huge into tech. I love little gadgets. So I will be doing videos on that. But right now for the Tesla, I'm about 2-3 weeks into the ordering process. I can't wait to get it. And anything changes, I'll do an update video on that. But until the next time, I appreciate it if you guys give it a like, subscribe. I'm gonna try to update this as often as possible, try to keep it entertaining, and just talk about the cheap ways of enjoying most of the tech. That's kind of my thing, and that's just going to be my theme for my videos here. I will do some things on travel as well. I try to do everything as cheap as possible, but still get the full experience in all the things I do. I mean, I've done it on cruises and Vegas, different places, New York. Got a cheap trip planned to New York as well, so I'll do some vlogs on that as well. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching. Bear with me. This is all new to me as far as making these channels, and I'm not doing it for, trying to make money or any of that stuff. I'm just doing it because it's, entertaining, and I've watched a ton of these videos as well from other YouTubers. And before I bought things, I've watched their reviews, and so I figured I would pass that same information along as well on different things that I buy, because sometimes it's hard finding some of the things that I buy that I find very useful. But other than that, I want to pass on that information just in case if you're that husband that's got a wife and some kids and you're like, I still want this tech, and but I gotta make sure this is covered, but your wife gives you that little allowance like they do. And I'm gonna help you guys out on getting those little things that you may like, and I'll let you know how that works. But until the meantime, subscribe, like, leave comments. Let me know if there's things you want me to try out or anything like that. I don't have a problem buying a lot of those gadgets, because I find them enjoyable for myself. But like I said, subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time.